Back on the Jefferson Exchange on the News and Information Service of JPR, I'm Jeffrey Riley. We've reached that part of the year when there's a lot of brown mixed in with the green outdoors. Any plants not getting watered on purpose drift into the tan or brown on these hot, dry days. The green ones need water and attention from gardeners, from novice to expert, and we consult an expert from time to time. Lynn Kunstman from Jackson County Master Gardeners joins us on a regular basis, or irregular basis anyway, for Garden for Life. Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Lynn is live, so you can send your questions right now to jx@jeffnet.org for a fast answer. And Lynn, let's see. Before we get into the gardening issues, let's talk about the gardener. There was a recent announcement about Master Gardeners of the Year in Oregon. What hardware did you walk away with?
I am the state of Oregon Master Gardener of the Year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a bit.
Is there anything
required? Quite a shock.
What's that? Quite a shock, you saying?
Quite a shock. Yeah, it's quite a surprise.
But you were Jackson County Gardener of the Year last year, weren't you?
I was. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So it was just a matter of time. You're working your way up the chain here.
I suppose that's how it works. I don't know.
So in this role as statewide Master Gardener of the Year, is anything required of you? Do you have to visit all corners of the state or be Grand Marshal in parades or anything like that?
No. It's just a recognition of the fact that I have, been teaching not just in our area, but I mean, because I teach on your radio show and it reaches people all over, the Jefferson area.
And in Bury, England, as we pointed out.
And in Bury, England, yeah. Sometimes in Texas, yes. And also I've been teaching classes at in other counties and up at the state Master Gardener conference for the last 2 years. And so that reaches people from. Then I did a webinar recently. And there were people from Canada and Minnesota and all over, like 900 people.
Wow.
From all around. So I'm I guess my reach is further than I had imagined, and that it's a little humbling, but I'm glad to be getting the message out to people.
Well, I'm glad you're part of what we do here. It's good to be able to use your expertise and visit with you on a regular basis. Right. So let's see. We still have an email here from Gary, No Town Given. He says, Garden for Life is a nice enough program name, but more truthfully, it should be if it's not one darn thing, it's another.
Yes, indeed. In the case in my yard, it's weeds. Just mammoth weeds that are taking over that seem to be better in drought conditions. Or, if I'm trying to water a garden to keep it alive, then it's just a constant fight with the weeds that come up. So
yeah, I notice if you're
dealing with that.
Yeah, if you're not really precise with where you get your water aimed and have those little emitters and things, then yeah, you encourage all the other things to grow up around it too.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
but
the plants are kind of struggling right now in these near triple degree days because basically they kind of shut down and stop doing anything when the temperatures get anywhere over, the low 90s. So people might be noticing that, their plants just look like they're curled up during the day. They're trying to retain moisture. So it's a rough time when the temperatures get this high.
Yeah, and I've noticed the thing about the plant slowing down in the heat. It's not just stuff in my garden, but I walk around the neighborhood enough to see other people's gardens, and I know other people's tomatoes look like they've scarcely gotten any different at all from day to day. Right.
Well, they're certainly not growing, not putting on any vegetative growth. The fruits that are set already are probably ripening quite, in the heat, but they're probably not setting any new fruit. They won't do that until the temperatures come down a little bit. And they're certainly not putting on any vegetative growth. The weeds, on the other hand, are just
the weeds have no problem. Yeah. But when we call them weeds, it really is a judgment call, isn't it?
It is. I mean, a weed is just a plant where you don't want it, right? And in my case, any kind of invasive plant, that's where I don't want it. And I have plenty of those in my yard. My front yard's covered with Bermuda grass right now. because I'm irrigating out there. I put my beans and squash out in the front yard, and I'm irrigating, and all the things that were there in the seed bed have sprung to life again.
Yes, yeah, they are so resilient. Yeah,
they are very. So.
Lynn Kunstman with us once again for Garden for Life. This is a live segment, so we can take your emails as you hear them from Lynn, jx@jeffnet.org. Get the keyboard, jx@jeffnet.org, with your gardening question. You mentioned Bermuda grass just now, and we've been doing a little grass research ourselves for grass that can actually be hardy enough to make it through without getting watered in the summer. It'll go dormant, but...
Right.
And St. Augustine grass, we've noticed, covers up a lot of other stuff. It seems to block out the other weeds from getting in there. But people don't seem to like things like Bermuda grass, though. What's the issue there?
Right. Well, it just because it escapes the lawn and it gets into all your garden beds, and it's stoloniferous, so it runs and it spreads quite aggressively, and it'll take over the entire yard. And so it's problematic in a place where you don't want grass and you don't want to be mowing or have a lawn. It's not the thing you want. So, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a turf expert. I don't know about turf grasses. I know that, our native bunch grasses can make it through the season once they're established just fine without supplemental irrigation. But, most people don't want to have a bunch grass yard.
Yeah, I get that. Back to Gary's point about gardening generally, though, and if it's not one darn thing, it's another. I mean, it really is a process of problem solving, and you got to be fairly nimble at this, it seems like.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to stop and look and listen, just really observe what's going on in your yard. This month in particular, it's really important if people have berries planted that they be irrigating those. Like they get about an inch of water during a week, and they just need a lot of water to set good fruit. But the other thing is now we've got a lot of pollinators out, and I'm hoping that people aren't just freaking out anytime they see a bug and running for a spray can to squirt it, because a lot of our pollinators are out and flying now. I'm seeing a lot more in my yard. A lot of our little native bees, a lot of the moths have emerged in our forage, and so people just need to be cognizant that those other living creatures are out there, and most of them are beneficial or benign.
Right, yeah, and they're not going to hurt your stuff. Yeah, and I did the part about, I was momentarily taken up short when you said stop, look, and listen. But the fact is that you do pay attention. It really is just about taking a moment there to use all of your senses and realize what's going on. And if you see motion, it's like, oh, yeah, there were little butterflies out there. I'm not going to mess with those things right now.
Right. Or the tiny bees or the little predatory wasps. Or I got stung the other day in my front yard by a yellow jacket and thought, oh no, this is right near the sidewalk and I'm going to have to deal with it. And I was thinking, oh, I should go get some spray because the nest is close, but maybe it's far enough in. And back and forth. I waited a couple days because they weren't being aggressive, And finally, I just went to Goodwill and bought a set of Pyrex bowls, and I put the largest of those over the hole in the dead of night. And now the bees come up and they bang their heads on the glass. They can't get out, because it's sealed around the edge. I kind of put some sawdust around the edge of the thing to hold it in place. And that nest will die without me having to spray or endanger anything else that might be out there. So I've kind of taken care of a problem that might have been problematic for people walking by with their dogs or their kids without the use of sprays.
Right, completely mechanical means. Congratulations. That's cool. Yeah.
So I'm checking it every day. Little new bees are emerging, but they can't go anywhere. So you just let it sit for a week or two. And
all right, so that's some great problem-solving stuff there. Can you still be surprised though after all this time, or do you still get head scratchers in your garden that make you go, oh, "Wait a minute, what?"
Yeah, I get plants that are coming up that I don't recognize. It's like, okay, I don't know what that is, And sometimes what I'll do is I'll let it go until it starts to set a flower so that I'll get an ID on it to see if is this something I want to keep, or was this something I planted a while ago and I've forgotten about, and then if it's something that's problematic, and I always check to see, well, is this an invasive plant, or is it something that I can let stay here, I've got a honeysuckle that volunteered in my yard that I've got to remove because it's a Japanese honeysuckle and it shouldn't be out there, and I need to get it out and spreading. But I'd like to wait until I know what it is I'm dealing with before I just start going hog wild.
Okay, so a little more analysis again, stop, look, listen. Just
some research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lynn Kunstman is with us for Garden for Life once again on the Jefferson Exchange and live this time. If you want to get an answer in the next couple of minutes, email jx@jeffnet.org. If it doesn't arrive in time, I'll save it for a future edition of Garden for Life. I want to come back to watering because it's so important right now. And I know we've talked in the past about there are times you can get a little overly aggressive and overwater your stuff. What are the signs that you have overwatered versus underwater a plant?
Right. Well, actually, they look very similar to lack of water. The plant will start to yellow, the leaves will curl, the plant will start to yellow. It will look like it's desiccated. And in fact, the best thing you can do is go out with a shovel or some long tool and dig down a good 12 inches or more and see whether the soil down there is in fact dry or if it's saturated. Because if it's saturated, those roots are rotting, and the plant it's starving for water because there's too much water, and it has caused the roots to rot. So it's very tricky. I really encourage people to dig down and find out what's going on down in the root zone, because it's easy to overwater when you think a plant is stressed. And it could, in fact, be in a place that retains water and it's having too much water.
Okay, so dig down a little bit. If you've got, all right. Let's see. We have an email from John in Ashland who asks, something is eating all my figs as they ripen. Would an owl or a falcon decoy help solve this?
Oh, like bird peck? Oh, yeah. I mean, you might try that. Or net the fig tree. If it's small enough, I would get bird netting to put over it. That's the first kind of mechanical solution to that problem. If he's actually having birds come in and peck the fruit, I would say bird netting.
All right.
Probably would work better than the decoys. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed too with some of the fruit trees, cherry trees in particular, that some people will hang those strips of silvery mylar off of them because they scare the birds away or something. But
there are strips of mylar or old CDs. People hang those, and when they flip in the wind, they flash lights at the birds, and the birds don't like that, so they'll stay away. So lots of hazing. You can look up hazing birds because a lot of the fruit orchards and vineyards have to do that kind of stuff. Vineyards will play shrieks of red-tailed hawks over loudspeakers over the vineyard, or they'll do like cannon booms because the booms scare starlings away. Those kinds of. You get a flock of birds that can come in and just destroy a crop in a home tree or an orchard or a vineyard. So there are lots of hazing techniques to scare the birds away, and the mylar strips and the CDs are one of those techniques.
All right. All right.
Google that and come up with some creative stuff. But the easiest thing is bird netting, and you don't have to hang a lot of individual stuff. Once you get it on the tree, you can get in up under it, and the birds can't get through it.
Okay, bird netting. We'll keep that in mind for next time.
Yeah.
We've used up our time already this time around on Garden for Life. Thanks to John in Ashland for his question, and for Gary, I think in Ashland as well, for his question as well about gardening. And Lynn Kunstman, Statewide Master Gardener of the Year. Congratulations again, and thanks for joining us once again for Garden for Life.
My pleasure.
All right, this is the Jefferson Exchange on JPR. Short break. We'll come back and talk about marine reserves in Oregon and the chance that you might get asked about them if you go to the Oregon coast. Stand by.